to Hoist the Colors? Now, time for the most in-depth look at the world of ECU athletics. Welcome in to Hoist the Colors with your host, Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game. Watch the show live on Facebook and at 943thegame.com. Now, here's your host, Stephen Igo.
Welcome in, Hoist the Colors, on this Tuesday, October 29th edition of the program. It is a Victory Tuesday and a bye week for ECU football, so we're going to enjoy this one and obviously talk about the coaching search a little bit throughout the week, but also look back at the Pirates' win over the Temple Owls. We're live, as always, on Facebook, YouTube, and X. If you got a question, comment, concern, whether it be the play on the field this past weekend, the Final Four games coming up, your thoughts on any coaches, candidates, more, or if you even want to talk some NFL or World Series, which we'll do in this program as well, drop it there. We'll get to it. We will have Chance Scott, Hoist the Colors contributor, joining us the second half of the program. We're going to lead off today's show, as we always do, on Tuesday with Maceo Donald, Philip Pilkington also in the house producing. Maceo, Pirates get a big win, man. How we feeling?
Yeah, I feel pretty good, man. It was a good weekend. Happy to see just everyone having fun on Saturday. Had a lot of points, so I think that's kind of what everyone in Pirate Nation needed just for the time being. But it was a good weekend.
Homecoming. I haven't gotten into this much, but before we dive into the play on the field, I gotta say, and look, both of y'all were there along with myself. The crowd was kind of disappointing. I know there were some former players coming back. I don't know. We'll start with Maceo. Like, again, we'll get to the play on the field, which was great, but there was a lot of talk about how, hey, Mike Houston's got to go. I'm not showing up till he goes. And then I feel like a lot of those people didn't show up. Now, some of them did, but I just feel like the crowd could have been better.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the first thing I saw when I came down to the field from being up in the press box talking to Philip. It was probably like maybe 40,000, not even 35. I don't know. I don't know where everyone was at this past weekend, but I thought it was going to be a lot of people just with homecoming and, maybe just kind of a fresh start, at least for the second half of the season. But a lot of people weren't there on Saturday. I don't know what that was about.
Yeah, and look, I'm not trying to take shots at the fans, ECU fans. I always remember it's a program that's only been to 2 bowls in the last 10 years. There's a lot of places that would kill for this type of support, but I don't know, Phil. But just it felt like there was more buzz during the week compared to maybe what we saw in the stands Saturday.
Yeah, I thought the quality was there from the crowd that was there, but the quantity wasn't. And I didn't expect the upper level on the far side to be full, but I expected the lower bowl to have a little more. Also, the students had good numbers, but they filed in very last minute, which I know they're out in the, tailgate lots and enjoying some beverages from Minji's Bottling Company. But they also left like we're winning, and it was good. And then they all left like there maybe was 60 students singing the alma mater after the game. Like, what are we doing? You got to stay. I mean, it was terrible, honestly. Like, so, yes, I will not take shots at the Pirate faithful, but I'm taking shots at the students. I don't even care.
Look, and I'll say this. Nobody shows up late to games and leaves early like ECU fans. I love you guys, but it's like to Philip's point, that kickoff, there was – the boneyard was probably like a third full. Then I look over like midway through the first quarter, and it's like jam-packed. And then I look over again to start the second half, and everybody's gone. I don't know. It just feels like people come to socialize for like a quarter. But, we got some comments here. Josh says it takes time to fix a broken culture. Kenny says half my tailgating crowd went to the river and enjoyed a beautiful day. So, I mean, I get it, too. Look, you just let go of your coach. There's some people that say probably, hey, the season's over. And take it that way, but
Tiebreakers was buzzing Monday night.
It was.
The chats were buzzing. Like, that's the problem. It's not that they weren't there. It's the fact that they were there Monday through Friday, and then Saturday comes along and nobody's there.
And it was a beautiful day too. So I mean,
weather was great.
Yeah, it was just a little disappointing, but again, kudos to the people who were there and making noise, and kudos to the play on the field. So let's move to that, Maceo. The play on the field was very positive, especially from an offensive standpoint. What were your big takeaways coming out of the win?
Yeah, I think all the guys basically were just told throughout the week to let loose. I think, those kind of shorter practices throughout the week, just maybe a more chill environment. I think those guys are just ready to play and refresh. And I think we saw it, especially on the offensive side. I think, about 4 or 5 different guys caught touchdowns, and Hauser threw about 5 touchdowns on Saturday. So I think that was just a big theme of the weekend, just having fun. I think everybody just had to flush out what happened last Sunday with the firing Coach Houston. But I think this is probably the best just overall we've seen our offense all season.
Caden Hauser, I wrote post-game, Maceo. It really makes you wonder where this team would be if he was the starter from day one. And look, I like Jake Garcia a lot as a person. You know, he's always great to us, and the media still is. I mean, he's still engaged on the sideline. I want to mention that. Like, he's still congratulating guys. He's not over there pouting, so he seems to be handling it the right way. But, I mean, the last 6 quarters from Caden Hauser are pretty darn good quarters of football. And this is just 2 starts. So, again, keeping in mind it's Temple, and it was a blowout loss to Army that he was doing a lot of those yards. But still, like, he looks the part in those opportunities. So it just makes you wonder, doesn't it, what could have been if they started the year with Hauser?
Yeah, I think, it would have still had to have been some of those things where you had to work through earlier in the season. But Caden just seems more decisive. Jake at times, it was like he was just going to let it rip, and maybe even if it was reckless at some points. But Caden just seems decisive. He knows where he wants to go, and he throws a pretty ball, man. Those deep balls were on the money in the game on Saturday. So, I mean, you can't go back, and I know a lot of fans might be thinking, if we would have done this, if we would have done that. But we are where we are now, and I think it's still a great chance for us to make a bowl game.
4-4 through 8 games, and that's the other thing. I mean, Noah Henderson, former player with the Pirates who you played with, said, did we expect to lose? I think he's talking about the fans in the comment section as far as not showing up. Like, yeah, I mean, you do let go of your coach, but if you look back through ECU's recent history, there's not too often that they're 4-4, 8 games into the season, or have 4 wins with a chance to go bowling in recent history. Obviously, the standards are higher, but like the chance to play for a bowl game for this crew, like I want to see them get the support they deserve. Maceo. So I don't know. Still 4 games left. Do you think that there's, still a lot to play for in the locker room? Are the guys feeling that?
Absolutely. I mean, everyone I talked to just over the week, and just some of the athletic trainers and guys on the team, I mean, everyone was just said last week was just very good vibes. Even with what happened to Coach Houston and that just shocker at the beginning of the week, the rest of the week, everyone was just pretty cool from my understanding of what everyone was telling me. So I think, a lot of the guys really like Coach Harrell, and I think they like his leadership style. And I think what he likes that they like that he takes care of them through the week a little bit different than what Coach Houston is like. So I think, especially with that veteran group like Rajay and some of those guys, I think that's the goal. It's a bowl game. I know it's been pretty rough at the beginning, but the goal is definitely a bowl game, and I think they'll be disappointed if they don't reach one.
Maceo Donald with us, ECU sideline reporter, former player with the Pirates. So we talked last week about, we had you on right after a really short practice. And I don't know, is there a fine line there, though, Maceo? Because, you still got to get your work in. Tough transition, so we'll see how Blake handles this long-term throughout the remainder of the season. I know they won Saturday. They took Sunday completely off, coaches, players, everybody. Monday they came back in, they watched some tape to review the game, did some lifting, but I think stayed away from on-field work. So what's the balance like as a player to remain sharp and not get out of the rhythm, but also, enjoying that time off?
I mean, I think it's needed, honestly. I mean, on Sundays, most of the time, it's just kind of a conditioning day. At least under Coach Houston, it was really kind of a conditioning special teams day, which are things you need to focus on. But at this point in the year, I mean, you're going into week 9, 10, you got to be able to take care of your body. And you don't really need, if you don't know how to do it now, you don't just know how to do it. I mean, we don't need all those just exact reps, tedious reps the whole entire year, especially with a lot of older guys playing. So I think, it's a balance to it, but I think at some point Coach Harrell just has to, he has to do a little bit something different just to get the guys going and just have a little change or just kind of rejuvenate themselves, honestly.
Johnny Robertson in the comments section says in the 60 minutes from the beginning of the 4th quarter versus Army through the 3rd quarter versus Temple, Caden Hauser has thrown 7 touchdowns, ran for 1, and the Pirates have scored 77 points. So, again, a lot to build on there. John David Baker goes down to the field for the game. Maceo, obviously, as a sideline reporter, you're down there a lot. And, again, this is all cliche stuff to say to an extent after a win. But, it just seemed like the energy and his presence down there was pretty high. What did you notice on the field?
I mean, everyone was like that. I thought we should have got called for some flags, and that's saying a lot. Just our celebrations and everyone excited, like I said, I think that's just something that the guys really need right now, just to forget about what's going on and just to have a fun day and just forget about the maybe business aspect of it or what even is to come in the future. But David Baker was on the sideline and Coach Harrell, so I know that was different. I'm sure they had their guys upstairs looking up, telling them what it looks like on the field, but Temple was playing pretty much one high coverage. So, I mean, if we can't take advantage of that, then we really need to do something different.
Maceo O'Donnell with us, ECU sideline reporter. He will be on the call again. Pirates take on FAU. They're off this week. They'll be back November 7th, Thursday night game inside Dowdy-Ficklen Stadium. He'll be back on the call on the ECU Sports Network. How about Rajay Harris, Maceo? He went beast mode there for a second.
Yeah, I think he might have got some of his speed back a little bit. He got caught a little bit. I'm going to have to joke him when I talk to him next. But he looked pretty good. Marlon Gunn finally got in the end zone also. But London was getting a lot of the carries too, so I think that says a lot. He had a pretty good couple games earlier in the season. So they can pretty much do whatever they wanted this weekend, man. I'm really happy for him.
Yeah, tell us about this Marlon Gunn dance. Did he ever break that out when you were on the team?
Yeah, a little bit. That's the New Orleans, jig. The New Orleans, Louisiana type of jig. My homeboy can do it also. He's from that area. So that's this kind of a cultural thing down there. But you won't see me doing it.
Basically just moving like every limb as fast as possible is what I saw. I don't know. Like, is there any actual rhythm to it?
Yeah, I don't know. I can't do it.
Philip, can you do that?
Heck no. I can't dance at all. What are you talking about?
I feel like I would tear
We'll get a
something
tutorial
if I tried
out.
it.
Oh, my goodness. That would be a fun competition. We have the three of us one day. If we get Maceo in studio, and we have to do it. And we gotta have him judge us as to which one of the three of us did it better.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I'll be the judge.
No,
yeah.
no.
You're in it.
No, you're in it. It's the three of us.
Oh.
We got to
you
have the
said
New Orleans boys who know what they're doing,
Oh, no.
judges.
I'm definitely tearing a rotator cuff or something trying to do
Right.
that.
We got to get
that
this
arm
after
spin.
your half marathon. We cannot have you get injured the
Yeah.
next 2 weeks. Or is
Well,
it this weekend?
It's after the FAU game.
After
so
the FAU game,
maybe
okay.
the Monday after the FAU game,
All right.
we'll try to have a
Have
competition.
fun with that.
Let's do it. Maceo O'Donnell with us. A few more things on the Temple game, and then we'll take a break. We're gonna have an NFL contender or pretender segment coming up with Maceo here shortly as well. So stay tuned for that. All right. So the defense, Maceo, not their best day. So how do you feel like maybe was any of that attributed to Blake maybe trying to learn how to manage the game? Like you saw him on the sideline. He was looking at the iPad between timeouts. He was over talking to the defense. He was talking to the offense. He had a lot going on. But what did you make of the defensive performance?
Yeah, I think we just missed a couple of those kind of third down plays and let the tight end kind of sneak through the middle a few times. But Coach Harrell even said it after the game in an interview, and he was just saying that, sometimes we're just being really aggressive and just trying to get after it, and maybe, we could have changed it in that circumstance. But I think it's a lot for him also. He said he kind of forgot sometimes where he had to, call a timeout, do some things like that. So he's juggling a lot. I'm sure we'll get better as the weeks go on, but I think he's a great play caller on the defensive side, and I think the guys just have to, do a little better on their jobs and just execute a little bit more like always. But it wasn't that bad.
There was, a lot of people who talked about how bad Temple is, and I get it. They're not a good football team.
Yeah.
But still, Mason, you look at the standpoint that you had 6 days to respond in this type of change. Like, typically these changes are made during a bye week, really late in the season, or, where you have more time. I mean, 6 days if you're Blake Harrell to try to figure this out. 6 days if you're the players to get over the emotion. Maybe it was a good thing that they just had to prepare for a game. But, like, how big is it to get through that week with a win? Because I know Temple's not very good, but they could have easily went out there and folded. And to get a win and now really have the chance to kind of figure some things out, I think sets them up pretty well.
Yeah, I think that just speaks to just where the program is now compared to where it was, 2017, 2018 when I was coming into school. And I know a lot of people complain about the program is terrible and it's a broken program. And, we've had basically 2 back-to-back years that we didn't expect. But, when I was coming up, if we would have lost our coach middle of the year, we would have lost every single game afterwards. And just kind of rolled over, playing for stats, everybody kind of playing individually for themselves. So I think that kind of just shows the character of the team. I think it shows the character of Coach Harrell and how the guys feel about him. And like I said, everyone that I talked to said the vibes are great throughout all of last week. So if he keeps giving them off and giving them some time to rest and just kind of brings a fresh environment for him, I think you can expect us to kind of just pull through these last couple games.
All right, that is Maceo O'Donnell. We're going to get a break in. When we come back, we're going to talk to Maceo. He dropped a column last week. I think a lot of good points about it. The headline, if ECU wants to win at football, it needs to put its money where its mouth is. We'll get into that after the break. We'll also have our NFL segment and more. This is Hoist the Colors on a Tuesday.
Acre Station Meat Farm, along with Lane Angus Beef, bring you Farm to Fork Beef.
Stock your freezers now with affordable beef boxes, just in time for the grilling season.
Farm to Fork Beef brings quality local beef to your family. From your traditional butcher shop, Acre Station Meat Farm. Come on down to Acre Station Meat Farm and find out why we're #1 in fresh cuts and friendly service.
Acre Station Meat Farm, Highway 32 North, Pinetown.
Living easy is the sound of children laughing as you make memories with neighbors and friends. It's the sound of nothing at all. It's the smell of the salt air. Hear the waters against the marsh grass. See the beauty of our coast. Bow Coast, located in Beaufort, North Carolina. Southern Living's best small town.
Other restaurants claim their food is fresh and fast, but are they friendly? At Moore's, you're treated like family the minute you walk into their doors. With locations in Winterville, New Bern, Swansboro, Morehead City, and Jacksonville. We've been practicing what we preach since 1945. At Moore's, our barbecue is slow cooked and smoked over real wood daily until it's so tender it's falling off the bone. Combined with our fresh chicken, cooked to order seafood, and homemade fixins, we're sure you'll agree. If it's not Moore's, it's less.
Sawyer's Fun Park in Winterville is now open. With over 40,000 square feet of family fun, daily money-saving deals, and a full-service restaurant, Sawyer's Fun Park is guaranteed to have something the whole family will love. Test your ninja skills on our 2-story obstacle course or head over to one of our 5 rock walls and race your friends to the top. And when you've worked up an appetite in our laser tag arena or our one-of-a-kind ropes course, grab a table over at the restaurant and try our world-famous Southern Monster Fries. Reserve your spot today at SawyersFunPark.com and come join in on the fun.
This is about you, your family, and the health of all who live in Eastern North Carolina. This is about the transformation of a health system into something more powerful and more human, about creating new ways to treat disease and keep you well. This is about ECU Health, which is to say, it's really all about you. ECU Health. Minds, hearts, purpose.
ECU Athletics. This is Hoist the Colors with Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game.
All right, welcome back in. Hoist the Colors here on this Tuesday, October 29th. Maceo O'Donnell with us. We're going to have an NFL contender pretender segment coming up to conclude this hour. Philip Pilkington producing. Philip, I just saw your text. It's a little late, but feel free to take it away. I know you wanted to mention something.
So I wanted to mention something. We were talking about Temple and it not being a great team, but Maceo told me a very interesting story in the press box about his trip to Temple in 2018. Do you mind sharing that with the fans? Because I found that hilarious about what happened when you guys rolled in to Lincoln Financial Field your first time playing Temple, back when Temple was Temple Tough.
Oh, yeah. So I forgot. Okay, so when we were first there, 2018, rolling up in there as an 18-year-old, freshman, Temple, they were like Temple Tough at the time, so they're pretty good, going to bowl games, had some guys going into the NFL. And when we rolled up, kind of warming up before the game, they were over there like lifting, no shirts on, up there in Philadelphia, probably maybe around this time of year, so it's kind of a little chilly. Lifting, no shirts on, medicine ball slams, just getting yoked, getting after it, like right outside on the field. we lost the game right then before we even got going. It was over with. Like we'd walked by their fans, and we had just and their team. We just lost already. It was over with.
It's funny you mentioned that, Maceo, because I remember that game as well. And y'all had like gone through the. This was Mo's first year? No, last year.
Third.
It was just
Yeah,
third or
his
fourth.
last.
So
Yep.
Or no, third or 3 years.
so they would basically do like. They would do like not the Oklahoma drill because it's kind of outlawed now, but they like y'all would go in, do your warm ups, kind of light jog, all that stuff. They were like out there hitting each other before kickoff, like taking it super seriously. And I was just like, yeah, this is about to be a bloodbath, and it was.
Terrible. Yeah, it was.
That was when Temple was legit under. They had the Matt Rule thing going, Jeff Collins early on, so they were physical then. Temple tough for sure. All right. Let's talk about your column, Maceo, which I thought was excellent. I was just reading it during the break as well. Again, you have a job with the Carteret County News-Times. The headline is if ECU wants to win at football, it needs to put its money where its mouth is your column. So take us through, what led you to writing this, kind of your idea behind it.
Yeah, I think that, especially in college football nowadays, you see people getting fired and hired and a lot of changes. But frankly, all the time, it's not the coach's fault. I know they take all the blame and they get all the credit. They get paid the most money, but, regardless, they're not the ones out there putting a helmet on, putting shoulder pads on Saturdays or Sundays. And especially at a university like ECU, you can only do so much. I think we've never really been able to get great offensive linemen straight out of high school. That's always been a struggle, and we've always had to be an offensive type of school. So I think when you think about things like that, we just have to go out and get those players that fit what we need to be and fit what we need to do. And nowadays you have to pay those guys. I think, what's the kid's name that went to NC State a few years ago, running back, and I think he was at UNLV.
Michael
we
Allen.
lost him. We couldn't get him to stay home. A couple other players we couldn't get to stay home. And this is as of, NIL has started. So before NIL, we could have got some of those guys. Now it's a little bit harder. So we just got to compete. We got to do what we got to do. Got to pay some of these guys a little bit more money, convince them and entice them to come to East Carolina University. And we might need to hold off on some of our facility upgrades and maybe put a little bit more into NIL.
Yeah, and it's one of those things. Look, the collective has done a great job, but I still, and Patrick Johnson and I talked about this. It was around $1 million this year. The upper echelon of the American, USF, Tulane, the teams that are spending the most money, they're around 1.5 to 2. And if you want to compete for a conference title, you got to get there consistently. It's not easy. I know the fans are being pulled in a lot of different directions. I think now that this facility plan is kind of done, I do think we'll see a resurgence in NIL going forward long term. And then also with the new coach, hopefully that brings excitement as well, which I know that the donations have gone up since then. But you're right. Look, coaching matters for sure. You look at Army, Navy. I know people say they don't have NIL, but at the same time, those guys are getting stipends for being in the armed forces, and they get benefits.
Right.
So, that kind of is built in NIL. And they've got like 160-man rosters and can really develop players. So they kind of have built-in advantages, but for the ECU, competing with Tulane, USF, Memphis, you're going to have to continue to grow the NIL pot long term. So I agree. Like the column a lot, Maceo. So check that out, Carteret County News-Times. All right. Y'all ready to talk some NFL?
Oh, yeah.
Is Phillip?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, what happened to your Panthers, man? We got to wait till Chance gets on to really get into it. But
yeah,
I tell you what, I said last week I have not watched any Panthers football because I have no desire to, and they're as bad as y'all made them out to be. They are just atrocious.
Yeah, it's tough. Look, the tough thing is when you get hurt, it's next man up. When you already have a bottom 3 roster in the league, that just makes it that worse. But when you don't have your all-pro nose tackle and their teams can just run inside gap scheme for 4 yards on you every play, how are you going to defend anything? So At least getting Josie Jewell back helped a little bit, but when Josie, Shaq Thompson, and Derek Brown were out there, you're missing nose tackle, 2 inside backers against both Washington and Chicago. That's why those games were so bad, and this one was a little bit better because at least we had Josie Jewell. But yeah, man, it's rough. I don't see how a team is this bad for this meeting. I can go on forever. Let's get to the segment, and we got Maceo on, somebody who actually knows football, unlike me. So let's use the brilliant mind of Maceo Donald.
All right, let's segue into our contenders or pretender segment. I'll say the team, and we'll go to Maceo and then Philip for each team. You guys say if they're a contender or a pretender, and give me a brief reason why you feel that way. So we're going to start with my Denver Broncos, who have beaten the Carolina Panthers. Now they've won, I think, 5 of 6 games after an 0-2 start. Yeah, they're 5-3. They're about to go on the road to the Ravens and the Chiefs. Are they a contender or a pretender? Maceo, what do you think?
I mean, contending for what? I mean, I don't think they're just terrible. I think they got a good thing going with Bo Nix. So maybe in a couple years or so you can do a little bit of something, but they're not contenders right now, but I don't think they're pretenders. I think they're on the come up.
So in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah, for this year specifically, I would still say pretender. I haven't seen enough offensively consistently to prove they can go out and beat really good football teams. You guys, we talked about it last night. You're taking care of the games that you need to take care of, which is the first step into becoming a contender, but you're not there yet. Pretender.
At Ravens, at Chiefs, and then Falcons for Denver the next 3 weeks. So they've got – I mean, if you win 2 of those, I think you're definitely a contender. I don't think that's going to happen. If they win 1, I'll be happy. Hopefully they don't go 0-3. All right, staying in the same division, the AFC West, the L.A. Chargers, they are 4-3. They've got one of the best defense in the league under Jim Harbaugh, but they're really not doing a whole lot offensively with Justin Herbert. What do you say, Maceo, contender or pretender?
Yeah, pretenders. I'll stick with Philip. Pretenders right now. Like you said, their defense is good, but I think they're trying to turn Justin Herbert into like a run-first offense when he's probably one of the most talented quarterbacks in the NFL. I don't know how that's going to work out with John Harbaugh. It's just kind of offensive scheme, run, play action, pass. Because you got to be able to use him, and I just haven't seen that a lot this year. I mean, didn't they lose to the Falcons? I mean, not the Falcons, the Cardinals a couple weeks ago?
They did on that Monday night game.
They're kind of the most wishy-washy teams in the NFL also, so definitely pretenders right now.
Yeah, they're pretenders. Again, kind of same thing as Denver, not seeing enough offensively. To Maceo's point, you got to let this kid sling the football. The fact that Josh Palmer is not like a top fantasy wide receiver right now, with him being the only vet in that wide receiver room, yeah, Ladd McConkey's looked pretty good, but those guys should be 2 of the top receivers in the league now that Keenan Allen and Mike Williams are out of there, and it's just not happening. I got to see more offensively.
All right, this next team definitely a contender for a playoff spot. My question is, are they a contender or a pretender for the Super Bowl? And we've got intern Nick in the house. The Steelers are 6-2. They've got a Russell Wilson. Are they a contender for the Super Bowl or a pretender, Maceo?
They're definitely pretenders for the Super Bowl. I mean, let's be real, but they do look really good last night and last week against the Jets. So I really do want to see Russell Wilson, who I don't know who's on their schedule next, but I kind of want to see what he's got against them because I think the Jets and the Giants have combined 4 wins this season.
Teams.
Yeah, so I want to see what he does, but they do look pretty good under him. He might be the better bet over Justin Fields, but they're definitely not getting out of that AFC, so pretender.
20 years ago, I'd say contender because you had the 2000 Ravens and the 02 Bucks where defenses carried you to a Super Bowl. That's just not happening now, especially in this AFC with Pat Mahomes, with Lamar Jackson, and, of course, with Josh Allen. So I'm going to go pretender for the Steelers. Sorry about that, Pancake.
Steelers are off this week, then at the Commanders, then they host the Ravens. So that'll be some real tests to come in the weeks ahead. I'm not even going to ask the Indianapolis Colts. They're definitely a pretender. We're not even going to go there. I think we all agree the Bills, Ravens, and Chiefs are contenders. I mean, any disagreement there?
Not for me, no.
Not really. I don't think the Bills are contenders, but they're right there. I mean, they'll play good they'll get into the playoffs easily, though. Yeah.
The AFC is just quite honestly not very good, which is kind of weird to say.
On the contrary to what we thought at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, the Bengals have been a massive disappointment, the Dolphins as well, the Jets. All right, let's move over to the NFC, the Washington Commanders. And anytime we're talking about a 6-2 team, I think we're talking about, are they a contender for a championship? What do we think, Maceo?
Contenders next year. Jaden Daniels is amazing. He actually hit my parlay with that Hail Mary. I just needed him to score one. Passed one touchdown the other night. So I was like screaming on the couch the other night. So I really like him. I just think they need a little bit more time. Offense is pretty good. Defense, they can be had. So I'm going to say pretenders right now, but I think they're definitely a team to watch.
Tough thing for me right now, they're 1-2 against teams with winning records. They're undefeated against teams without winning records. I feel a lot about them the way I do the Broncos. Yeah, maybe the offense is a little better. The Broncos' defense is a little worse. Like Maceo said, 1 year away. They're showing progress. They should make the playoffs, but they haven't really proved they can be good teams yet. I mean, the only team they beat with the winning record is the Bears, who, again, are kind of good, but they're also just taking advantage of bad football teams, and they're still very young.
The Eagles have won 3 in a row. Kind of quietly. Are they back in the the contender phase, or are they still a pretender?
I think they're contenders. If Justin Hurts doesn't turn the ball over, I think they're contenders. You got Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, Saquon. They pretty much have got everything. Their defense can be had, like we all already know, but when you got that much offensive firepower, you definitely can compete with the Lions and teams like that in the NFC. So I'll definitely say contenders.
Yeah, I think that Hurts just struggled early in the season not having Jason Kelsey. He said he never had to identify the mic or change the protection at the line because Jason just did it. He struggled a little bit out of the gate. He's getting his feet wet. He's figured it out now. Definitely a contender.
All right, I'm having trouble picking a single team from the NFC West because the entire division, none of it is above 500. Obviously, the Niners would be the betting favorite, but they have injuries and flaws. They're 4-4. The Cardinals are 4-4. The Seahawks are 4-4. The Rams are 3-4. Are any of these teams a contender, Maceo?
I mean, if you get McCaffrey back, I would say you're a contender, healthy. But, I mean, Achilles aren't anything to play with. But I would also say the Rams looked pretty good last week with Puka and Cooper Kupp back in the lineup. So, I mean, they could string along some wins here late in the season, but I think they're a few weeks out probably, but they dug themselves into a pretty good hole.
I'm kind of with Maceo on that. Yeah, this Rams team's the Rams team who's been successful, really minus Andrew Whitworth and Aaron Donald. Now, that's a tough one that they don't have those guys, but they're pretty much the same team that won the Super Bowl a couple years ago when healthy. So they can be contenders. And then obviously, if the 49ers get healthy. Look, the 49ers 1-53 are arguably the best roster in the league. The problem is they've got 6 or 7 of their top 15 out right now or banged up. So I don't think they're as good as the Chiefs because the quarterback plays so much better in Kansas City, but still like top to bottom, I think they're the best roster in the league still when healthy. So, give me the 49ers as a contender.
All right, a few comments before we get to a couple more teams before we wrap up the segment. Bobby Harvard says this is preposterous. I guess he's talking about the Commanders not being considered a contenders. He's a Washington fan.
You haven't been good since '92, Bobby. Okay, forgive us for not having faith in you guys. Or '91, whenever you won your last Super Bowl.
We're doing good this year, though. You should be happy.
Lane Smith says, "Fly Eagles, fly." Jansen Kidd says, "Pittsburgh is the worst 6-2 team I've ever seen." Pretender. Pittsburgh always gets those labels. They
do.
When they were like 10-0 that one year.
Yeah. Okay. Now that was for a 10-0 team or 11-0. So they got to. That was a bad 11-0 team. They were probably about an 8-3 team on paper. But I wouldn't say they're the worst 6-2 team ever. There's been some bad teams start 6-2 and then flop hard.
All right, we'll go a few more, then we'll get out of here for this segment. All right, the Atlanta Falcons, 5-3. Kirk Cousins doing his thing. What do you think, Maceo?
Pretenders. When has Kirk Cousins ever won a big game? I mean, and since he was in Washington, and what did he say? Yeah, get some or whatever he said in the locker room. Yeah, you like that, whatever. But no, they're pretenders. I think they have a pretty decent roster. Their running back is amazing, but they're just a okay team with a solid quarterback.
The weird thing is the NFC has not really a top team. I mean, I guess right now it's Detroit, but there's just a lot of teams in the middle, and I think they're part of that middle group. But just because of the fact they're older and more experienced than every other group, I'm going to go contender, but kind of like a backdoor contender just because more experienced than the Commanders, more experienced than the Bears. less banged up than the entire NFC West. So by kind of default, I feel like they're kind of the third biggest team right now because we know the Cowboys stink. So it's kind of Lions, Eagles, and then probably the Falcons.
Yeah, the Lions a no doubt contender, 6-1. My question to you guys, final question: NFC North. Pick one contender from this group: the Packers, the Vikings, or the Bears. Who you guys rolling with? Or you can go nobody. Maceo.
You're not including the Lions in that, you said?
I think they're a slam dunk contender.
Yeah.
So I say outside of those guys.
I think I trust the Vikings play calling and coaches and offensive weapons a little bit more than I trust Jordan Love right now. He's still a little bit reckless, still very talented, and he's been struggling with the injury all year. I think this time it was a groin on Sunday, but he had that knee injury earlier in the season. So I think I still like the Vikings, Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, Sam Darnold, if you could just keep him making some plays.
One thing that I like about the I'm going to go Packers just solely because they've proved they can win the tight games this year, and it seems like that's where the Vikings have struggled. Like the Vikings can blow you out, but they've struggled in those tight games. Lost to the Rams last week, so yeah, I know it was a tight game when they went to Green Bay and won, but I don't know, man. Packers, it's going to be interesting. I'll give you a full scouting report. My mom and sister are actually going to Lions-Packers this week in Green Bay, so
nice.
they can give us a on-the-site scouting report of how good they actually look in person.
Packers have the Lions, Bears, and Niners the next 3 weeks, so we'll learn a lot more about them for sure. All right, Maceo, this was a lot of fun, man. We got to get a break in, but always great to talk with you on Tuesday. We'll catch up again next week, man.
Yes, sir. See you guys. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. There is Maceo Donald. We'll be right back. We got Chance Scott. He will join us. We'll also catch up at some point before the show ends with intern Nick to get his take on the Steelers. Does he believe they're a contender? We'll ask him. This is Hoist the Colors on a Tuesday.
Hi, I'm D.R. Alligood.
And I'm his daughter, Jessica.
For 11 years, we have built quality driveways and parking lots for both your residential and commercial needs. We also offer free on-site quotes to have your custom driveways built the way you want.
252-946-1227.
Looking for a great deal on a new Nissan?
At Greenville Nissan, we've got a great selection of new Nissans for under $30,000.
The stylish Nissan Sentra, offering top-notch fuel economy. The Nissan Altima, known for its comfort and technology.
The Nissan Kicks, the perfect combination with its compact design and performance. The Nissan Versa, delivering incredible value without compromising on features. And don't forget the Nissan Rogue, an award winner for 10 years in a row. Drive it home just for $22 down and $349 a month.
Visit GreenvilleNissan.com today.
Greenville Nissan, where we drive to serve.
Big tax credits are back. Get a 30% tax credit, up to $2,000 off your new Mitsubishi electric heat pump install. Let Comfort Master help you take advantage of the tax credits with a qualifying Mitsubishi electric ducted heat pump or non-ducted Mitsubishi electric mini splits. Mitsubishi electric mini splits are ideal for bonus rooms, garages, or sunrooms. If you need a new HVAC unit, call Comfort Master today.
Call Comfort Master. Call Comfort Master.
The best burgers around. Everyone loves a thick, juicy, and fresh burger. Tiebreakers does real burgers better than anybody. And don't forget about the cheese sticks, fresh salads, and more. So don't just go to any burger-themed restaurant chain. It's time to break the chain and eat local. Tiebreakers, burgers and sports at its best.
Go Pirates! Arrgh!
You know what the problem is with standard belts? Usually you have to choose between too tight or the opposite, too loose. But with Anson Belt & Buckle, you don't have to choose. We got rid of the holes and instead have a track system designed for micro-adjustability. That way you can enjoy a perfect fit every time. Anson Belt & Buckle. Find your perfect fit today.
Hi, I'm D.R. Alligood.
And I'm his daughter, Jessica.
For 11 years, we have built quality driveways and parking lots for both your residential and commercial needs. We also offer free on-site quotes to have your custom driveways built the way you want.
252-946-1227.
Your confidence makes everything look good. You see the world in vivid color, not black and white. Swing through your neighborhood Fantastic Sam's Cut in color. and let our experienced stylists take you from everyday to extraordinary.
Fantastic Sam's hair salons are locally owned and operated. Our full-service salons are conveniently located in Goldsboro, Kinston, Greenville, New Bern, Jacksonville, and Calabash. Stop in today at Fantastic Sam's, where the possibilities are endless.
Live with Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game.
Hoist the Johnny Roger!
Now, back to Hoist the Colors.
All right, welcome back in. Hoist the Colors, Tuesday, October 29th. Always great to catch up with Maceo Donald. He joined us. You can hear that archived on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and YouTube and Facebook. Joining us now in studio is Chance Scott. Chance, welcome back, man. Been a few weeks since we've had you on, right?
Yeah, a lot's changed since we've talked.
Yeah. So what did you think? So last time you were on, Mike Houston was the head coach.
Yes, sir.
What did you think of the move and how the guys responded?
I thought the move was probably the right time. There was a lot going on. We won't get into NIL funding that we needed, and it felt like the fan base was just giving up on Mike. So I thought it was the right time to pull the plug, and I thought Blake done a great job keeping everybody together and finding a way to win.
All right, so we'll circle back. We'll talk some ECU here in a minute. I want to first get the take. We were talking contender, pretender. You can weigh in on this as well. I know you follow the NFL a lot, Chance. Well, we got intern Nick, a.k.a. Pancake. He's a diehard Steelers fan and a Yankees fan, which we got to touch on. So mixed emotions last night. The Steelers, Nick, we had contender or pretender. Philip and Maceo said pretender. What is your take?
I want to be optimistic and say contender, but as we get to late November, early December, into January, team falls off the rails, things just don't go your way, and you're sitting around April in the middle of the first round, drafting another O-lineman after a first-round exit that you're not going to use for the first 3 years. So it's pretender as of now until there's proven success as you get into the Thanksgiving weekend, maybe the first week of December. If you're leading the division, or at least are number 1 and 2, and you're fighting for it, there's an opportunity there, but until then, you don't really know.
What do you think, Chance, as an unbiased man of the Steelers? Pretenders?
Yeah, the pretenders.
Yeah, I mean, look, Russell Wilson, he looks good. He looks good, Nick. I mean, are you buying into this, or are you still skeptical?
I think he's definitely looked better than he has in years past. He definitely fits with Arthur Smith in the offense. When you run the ball and you give him the opportunity to short passes and balls out quick, you let him game manage. But you definitely lose the kind of crazy element you get with Justin Fields, where he can go off, get 10 yards for a first down, like a 3rd and 8 when the pocket collapses. So you lose that, but you also have the game management that in a 4-minute offense, he can kill 3 minutes and you score a touchdown late in the game. It puts the team away, gives your defense a much better opportunity than it would with Justin Fields.
And he just looks healthy. Look, as a Denver fan, he never really seemed 100% healthy in Denver, and obviously did not mesh well with Sean Payton. So, we'll see. I still am skeptical that he can stay healthy going forward, but that's why you have Justin Fields, which is a solid backup plan. All right, Nick, final thing for you. The New York Yankees, great season. They are on the verge of getting swept. Can they find a way to crawl out of this hole and make it interesting?
No.
I think you're right. I think it's done. I think last night was the end.
Yes, I think they are just you're on your back. You're on your back. You're back to your heels. You're falling over. There's nothing you can grab to help you up. You're gonna get dominated by pitching again. Bats go cold. You lose 3-2. Even you lose 3-2, it's like okay, season's over. You lose 10-0. It doesn't matter at this point. You've given up. At least as a fan, I have. Management has been a problem. Bats have been a problem. Pitching has been a problem. It doesn't really matter at this point.
Disappointing for sure, but it could always be worse, Nick. You could be a Yankees and a Jets fan like your brother.
I could be, yes.
So it could always be worse. Appreciate you, Nick, and Pancake, for hanging out.
Thank you, boys.
As always, man. Always good to get your perspective. All right, Chance, do the Yankees have a shot to come back? Are they done?
I hope they win tonight because I have a little bit of money on the Yankees
You've
to not get swept.
laid the bet down.
Yep. They can't get swept. Got to be more baseball. TV needs the money.
TV needs the money. Chance needs the money.
Yep. A lot of money is needed.
I thought about betting on the Yankees tonight, but I can't.
I don't think it's a good bet.
I can't do it.
hey, if it was the NBA, they would definitely be winning because to
100%.
Chance's point, like every call, if you notice in NBA Finals, goes to whatever team is down. So they can get 7 games.
It's too obvious sometimes and too much money to be had. I don't think baseball is as obvious because you can't rig it that much, but it is a fair point for sure. All right, Chance, quick thoughts before we take a break. Obviously, we touched a little bit on Temple, but we haven't talked a lot of coaching search today. Any names intrigue you as we sit here early in the process?
I mean, obviously, guys like Garrett Rowley and Joe Sloan, if you want to go your younger, OC, give them their first real shot at it. But I think the guy I'm probably the highest on myself is Tyson Hilton at Western Kentucky. He seems to, been there for a while, and it's always a high-powered offense. Different quarterbacks came out of there, and they've looked decent in the league. They might not be stars, but they find ways to get on the field and make plays. To me, I'd rather go another head coach. I'm a little skeptical of going to a guy that's never, been the brightest spotlight of them all. But, I mean, it's not up to me, so John Gilbert's got to make the right call.
They are – look, I mean, every coaching hire is a risk, but certainly assistants can be boom or bust. I would say Tyson Hilton's probably one of your more safest options. And, look, I was talking with the donor this morning, and I thought he put it best. So we don't know if Tyson Hilton's a candidate, but we do know he's interested because he's making $800,000, and he could probably make $2 million at ECU. That doesn't mean he would take the job, but at the least he's looking for a raise, and he's going to look somewhere else. So we'll see if he's a candidate. Have not been able to confirm that at this time, but, he's gone 7, 8, 9 wins every year. The only concern I have with him is you look at it today, more than likely they will be playing in the conference championship, which means he's coaching through early December. So then what do you do, with the timeline, with the portal and all that?
Yeah, there's so many guys. I feel like everybody we're kind of trying to go after is, Joe Sloan, LSU. They're, still, I guess, in the race for the SEC. Mix, yeah. Garrett Raleigh at Clemson, they're in a race for, CFP top 5 bid at this point. So, I mean, everybody that we're looking at, I guess you could say, is still battling into late December.
If you want to see Tyson Hilton in action, you can do that tomorrow. Wednesday night football. Kennesaw State coming off the big win over Liberty. They go to Western Kentucky. So you can watch Tyson Hilton and the Hilltoppers in action firsthand.
Yeah, I usually watch a lot of the Tuesday, Wednesday games because it's like the only thing on TV. So pretty fun to watch them play.
Yeah. How do we feel about Tuesday, Wednesday games? Obviously, we got ECU coming up with a Thursday game. I'll be honest, guys, they used to watch. I don't know if it's because I have kids now and I'm just ready to do something else besides sports some of these nights, but you say you watch them. Do you ever watch these Tuesday, Wednesday games, Philip?
Yeah, so what I've kind of done because me and my roommate will either watch, like, the Canes or the Bruins play, or we'll, like, turn on a movie or something, and then it usually times out to where, like, right as we're getting done with whatever we were watching, the games are coming to an end. So if they're close, we'll watch them, and then if they're not, we won't. So like last week, the Kennesaw State Liberty game, we like turned on a movie or something, and then we were done, and there was like 6 minutes left in the game. It's like, oh, we'll watch it. So just the fact that it's there, I think, is nice. Like, yeah, I'm not going to sit there and be like, man, like next week's match, and I'm not going to sit there and watch, Ball State and Eastern Michigan for 3.5 hours. But hey, if it's close at the end, gives me something to do right before I go to bed. Why not?
It's a good way to look at it for sure. All right, let's get our final break in. We'll come back. Guys, we are only 6 days away from East Carolina basketball. Let's talk some hoops on the other side. Also got to plug some of Chance's work he's working on. We'll do that. This is Hoist the Colors.
Get ready to switch and save at Greenville Toyota. Switch out of that old ride and save a new RAV4, $329 a month. Or test drive the redesigned 2025 Camry, all with our advantage. It's time to switch and save at Greenville Toyota.
Storm season is approaching. North Carolina weather can damage your roof, and before long, a small leak can turn into a big problem. Your home is one of your biggest investments, so protect it with Wells Home Improvements.
We work with all insurance companies for a hassle-free roof installation experience. Call us today and get 10% off your roof installation when you mention this commercial.
252-227-8403 or visit us online at wellshomeimprovements.com. Wells Home Improvements. Local, honest, dependable.
Hey, on the mountain we've got a saying. Get off here.
Show off.
Mountain Dew.
Sawyer's Fun Park in Winterville is now open. With over 40,000 square feet of family fun, daily money-saving deals, and a full-service restaurant, Sawyer's Fun Park is guaranteed to have something the whole family will love. Test your ninja skills on our 2-story obstacle course or head over to one of our 5 rock walls and race your friends to the top. And when you've worked up an appetite in our laser tag arena or our one-of-a-kind ropes course, grab a table over at the restaurant and try our world-famous Southern Monster Fries. Reserve your spot today at SawyersFunPark.com and come join in on the fun.
The best burgers around. Everyone loves a thick, juicy, and fresh burger. Tiebreakers does real burgers better than anybody. And don't forget about the cheese sticks, fresh salads, and more. So don't just go to any burger-themed restaurant chain. It's time to break the chain and eat local. Tiebreakers, burgers and sports at its best.
Everybody loves Tiebreakers.
Other restaurants claim their food is fresh and fast, but are they friendly? At Moore's, you're treated like family the minute you walk into their doors. With locations in Winterville, New Bern, Swansboro, Morehead City, and Jacksonville. We've been practicing what we preach since 1945. At Moore's, our barbecue is slow cooked and smoked over real wood daily until it's so tender it's falling off the bone. Combined with our fresh chicken, cooked-to-order seafood, and homemade fixins, we're sure you'll agree. If it's not Moore's, it's less.
It's time to switch out that old ride and save on a new Toyota. Switch out your current vehicle and get cash on the spot. Then save on a new Corolla for just $229 a month or a Highlander for only $409 a month. Switch and save at Greenville Toyota.
Climb aboard as we set sail and hoist the colors.
Arr, matey!
Back to the show with Steve and I go on 94.3 The Game.
All right, welcome back in. Hoist the Colors. Tuesday, October 29th. Final segment here. Chance Scott in studio. Philip Hooken producing. Pancake, a.k.a. Nick Sampson, hanging out. All right. So, Chance, whose real name is apparently Skylar Scott. I just figured this out. You're helping us out with Hoist the Colors, going to ECU as an intern. You just launched a new podcast. I want to float it out there for people. So, plug it.
Yeah, it's called The Pirate Pulse. It's something my uncle's been, begging me and bugging me to do it. And I was like, nah, there's no reason to. And he was like, just do it. So I done it. And then, I'm kind of enjoying myself, being able to just have my own little thing. And it makes me feel good about, feel like I'm coming a long way in my journey.
So the Pirate Pulse is now available on...
It's on Spotify. Apple Podcasts. I think that's it.
Okay. And so So right now it's just you talking.
Just me.
Is Philip Pilkington going to be your first guest?
If Philip wants to be my first guest, he can come on.
Sure, why not? I'm down.
We'll have to work that out. But no, that's awesome, man. Well, congrats. As somebody who started HTC from scratch, it is a task. But if you're passionate about it, it can work out, and definitely encourage Pirate fans to check that out. The Pirate Pulse, the first episode's already up.
Yes, sir.
So,
I recorded my Temple reaction show last night, so I'm going to get that up hopefully today when I get home from work and stuff.
There you go. Check it out, the Pirate Pulse. All right, ECU basketball. We'll continue to plug that as you join us on these Tuesday shows. Pirate basketball, guys, 6 days away, North Carolina Wesleyan, East Carolina. Early vibe check. How we feeling?
The Battle and Bishops are in trouble. I did see R.J. Felton's a top 100 ESPN college basketball player.
Really?
Did you see that?
I did not.
I seen it on Twitter. So I thought that was pretty cool. He's, I think, like 8 spots under Elliot Cadeau of UNC.
That's pretty wild. I mean, R.J. is a beast. ECU scrimmaged Davidson this past weekend and won the game. They scrimmaged Richmond, and they tied 90-90.
Oh, we scored 90 points.
Yeah, so, there's some encouraging signs there. I don't know. Again, I have zero expectations. We are going to talk to Mike Schwartz and Jay Woodard, JUCO transfer, in studio on Thursday. We'll also have Hank Hinton from Team Boneyard on that day as well. So looking forward to hearing what they have to say. But I'm encouraged, guys, but keeping my expectations low. How about you, Chance?
The problem was last year, I was all the way bought in. We had a 3-headed monster, and I was like, this is a year. ECU basketball on the map. You can mark it down. It's 20-plus wins, and then we just fell apart.
Didn't look
so
good.
I'm going in here. I think the team could be really good, but they still got to go prove it to me first before I can have an opinion.
It's a good roster. Again, North Carolina Wesleyan Monday, 7 o'clock. John Moody points out the doubleheader on November 29th, Black Friday.
Is that the Navy?
Yeah.
And then,
North Carolina A&T will be a 5:30 tip-off following the 12 noon game against Navy. You can get a upper deck seat, whatever they call it, the upper portion, upper level seat in Minji's for $5 with the presentation of a football ticket at the gate for that game at the ticket office. So great idea there. I don't know. I mean, the schedule is, it's not impressive on paper, so to speak, but you do have some interesting games. Like Coastal Carolina, I know was not good last year, but it's at least an intriguing game. And then George Mason, I think is your first real test on November 16th.
I don't know how to feel about it because there's so many games last year that I thought that we also should have won. So it's so tough. I think the UNCW, are we there at home? Is it home
UNCW at home, back-to-back years, December 3rd. Typically, the home team in this matchup wins.
Yeah, so I like us to win there, but we go to Columbia, so that's going to be a tough. And I thought we definitely should have won that game last year.
Yeah, that was a tough one. And then the Boardwalk Battle, ECU will open with Jacksonville State. That'll be November 21st through the 23rd. Well, Chance, we are up against it as far as time. Always good. And, again, check it out, Pirate Pulse on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
Yes, sir. And then I got a website up and running, but it isn't completely finished yet. But I do have my first article up there about it was after Mike Houston got fired about where I thought ECU should go.
ThePiratePulse.com. So check it out. Appreciate you, man. As
Thank you,
always, we still got to get you up to the press box. Maybe FAU. We'll make it happen. All right, we got to get out of here. We'll be back tomorrow, 12 noon. We'll have Kevin Monroe join us. We will see you then.
This has been Hoist the Colors with your host, Stephen Igo. Tune in weekdays at noon for all things